covered more of flex and more design. So basically talking about white spaces, shadows, and all sorts of icons and where to find them, what to use them, where to use them. Also, we were looking at how to set up snippets, and snippets are basically in this VS Code, you write something, and then it gives you basically a block of code. It writes for you. So basically, you save template of code, and it's useful from what I've seen to reset, because usually when you start making a website in CSS, you have margins and padding set to certain values, so you can that's I think what I will use it for, to just put a reset on those. So I write reset and then it gives me code for that. And yeah, there are some other things that I could use it for, but more of that I guess I'll find in the future, what code repeats the most. So something that we spent most of the day yesterday on was actually making the website size well for different media, so different screen sizes. And that is done with, let me show you how the code looks. So this at media, screen, and then maximum width. So meaning that if the width is less than this maximum width allowed, then it will do something. So for example, in this case, if the width is lower than 700, then it will stop showing desktop menu. So display none. And then here it is defined how it looks if it's not smaller than 700 pixels. Yeah, and then we put mobile menu. So if you see, if I scale and hit the line of less than 700 pixels, suddenly the desktop menu disappears, and we have this. We call it burger. Basically, it's a button that once we press, the mobile menu comes out. And how do we make this happen? With great difficulty, I would say. So, to begin with, this is actually an input. So we can find it in the HTML code. Let me quickly find it. Yeah, desktop menu, hamburger. So we had to change this to label, because only when it's label, then we can put an invisible input checkbox that once it's checked, it basically selects this hamburger, because it's not really a button that you can press, but it's a checkbox that that anyway, once it's pressed, it activates this part. And then this is the mobile menu. This is a picture that hides this. So basically another check label, and we can see it close here, menu toggle. So yes, it is complicated, but basically it just slides it back and forth, but it's only visible once it is smaller than 700 pixels. So basically just made for mobile. See, if I make it smaller, then the menu just appears because it's opened there. And then this we just drew with lines. So that's the easy part. The difficult part is creating this fake input that we hide, but it helps selecting the checkbox to open it. So still kind of wrapping my mind around it, trying to get it. We only did this last night, so it's still digested by my brain, I would say. Yeah, and here we didn't do much. I mean, we did this part and made it so it also extends like this to the side, but once it gets smaller, then the margins disappear, because otherwise it would try to keep this margin there. But so we use this add media. So depending on the screen size, it will stop having a margin. So that's what we've covered, and today should be exciting because we're actually going to be starting JavaScript. I'm not sure. Oh, and another thing that we started covering a bit is instead of using CSS, using CS. Well, the professor called it SAS, but it's basically a superior version of CSS. With a plugin, we write it here, and as I understand, the biggest thing about it is that we can nest elements within elements, and also variables are easier to write. So instead of writing them like that, with this double dash under root, we just write a $sign and then define it. So, and I see that I have a mistake here. Which might be a problem. But it seems to be working so far. Yeah, and once I save it, it saves automatically to style CSS file, which it writes in a line. All of this, more than 300 lines, 400 lines of code, they go into one line in the CSS file. And CSS file is the file that the browser can read to know what kind of style there is to be applied to the page. So we haven't used it much. We just installed a plugin that converts this SCSS to CSS and just saw how it works, and that we can nest things. And nesting is basically we see all these. So this is nested in this, and this is nested in this. So instead of writing it like that every time, we can just put it here. Maybe I'll show how it looks a little bit later. So should be an exciting day today. Finally learning to use JavaScript, and we'll see how far we get. As I understand, today we're just gonna be learning the basics. So, but I'm excited about JavaScript because that's gonna be actual programming. And even though I do have quite a bit to learn in CSS and HTML, I feel quite confident that with more practice I can pretty much master it. Just have to face more problems and then find ways to solve it, but there's not that much that's too confusing at the moment. So to improve, and then yeah, JavaScript today. So keep you updated.